Okay, it's 5 o'clock on Monday, April 17th. We'll call this City Council meeting to order. We'd like to welcome everyone. And if everyone would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Deb.
Don.
Here.
Jody. Harley.
Here.
Brad.
Here.
Rodney.
Here.
Tyler.
Here.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Entertain a motion then to approve today's agenda. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion?
Just one item. I don't know if we would want to move the consideration of the street closure for the middle school up a little bit, just
Okay.
for the, is there any, okay.
Oh, so they don't want to sit through that. Where would you like that, Jacob? Do you think that's the best place to?
Do you just want to take care of it right after the public hearings?
Okay, start the new business.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll do that. We'll move number 16 up, then at the first item in new business.
Okay, move to approve the amended agenda.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, Deb.
Don.
Yes.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Motion carried. Across the mayor's desk, I just want to thank Caitlin Haig tonight for being our videographer. And does the council have anything they would like to share tonight? Okay, hearing none. Update from the city administrator.
Only I just want to make a note of is the upcoming spring cleanup days. That'll be Friday, May 5th and Saturday, May 6th. The Friday will be from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then Saturday from 8 a.m. to noon. The dumpster site will be at Veterans Park where it has been in the past. So that's the annual spring cleanup days here on May 5th and 6th.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to agenda item number 7. This is the citizens' opportunity to address the council with any item that's not on the agenda. Is there anyone that would like to speak tonight? Okay, Dave, if you'd like to come up to the podium.
You can hear me.
No, you need to come up to the podium so that they can hear you on the,
You can hear me.
on the tape.
You can hear me.
Dave, we're not, we've invited everybody to come up here. So please come up to the podium at the microphone. Thank you.
I have a 10-year-old grandson crying this afternoon.
Okay, would you like to share?
The city is cutting down beautiful trees again. We retained a legal counsel. You cut down more trees last year than you planted. And now, again, you're cutting down perfectly healthy trees. It's causing a lot of concern and a lot of people emotional distress. Like I said, my 10-year-old grandson was crying this afternoon. There's nothing wrong with the trees. I have someone quite more qualified than you that does not care to be paid like grassmasters who takes money to calculate what trees survive or not. So I asked the city, is it who you are when you cut trees down? It seems to be that way.
Thank you. We'll move then to the consent agenda, and that includes minutes from our April 3rd work session as well as our regular city council meeting, approving the bills that are to be paid this cycle, approve a Class E retail alcohol license for Casey's on North Main Street, approve a Class C retail alcohol license for Peps and Emeralds.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion.
Whoever you take.
We have a motion from Harley, second from Brad. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Don.
Yes.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Okay, we'll move then to our public hearings. It is 5:05 and we will open this public hearing, agenda item number 9, regarding the mill and overlay on the street improvements for 2023.
Yes, this public hearing is regarding the plans, specifications, contract, and cost estimate for the 2023 street reconstruction project. We have Matt Cole with Bolton Mank here with us this evening that can provide an overview on the proposed project.
Thank you. The 2023 street improvement project is kind of the middle overlay project that we've had the last several years. This one entails construction on Wooster Street from McGregor to State, Durant Street from diagonal to Commercial, Elm Street from diagonal to almost Main Street, and then the library parking lot is also included with concrete work, sidewalk improvements, mill overlay on the parking lot area on the west and the south side. Also includes some of AMU's water main and water service work in some of those project areas before paving happens. We opened bids last week. Heartland Asphalt is the low bidder, $1,086,577.45. So later in the packet, there's a resolution to approve and award that contract. Is there any other questions, concerns?
That's different with Blacktop Services. That's done
Yes,
in the
Fort Wayne
past.
Asphalt is the 2021 street project, Blacktop Services has the 2022, and now Heartland has the 2023, so kind of all three asphalt paving contractors in the area are priming the job the last few years, so it's good that we're getting multiple bids and keeping it competitive. We received 3 bids for this project this year.
The original estimate of construction cost was $994,224, and then in the contract, the proposed substantial completion date is September 30th, and the final completion date of October 15th. We have not received any comments regarding the public hearing notice.
Okay. It's 5:07, then we will close this public hearing on agenda item number 9, and we'll move to agenda item number 10 and open this public hearing, and it is still 5:07. This is a public hearing regarding the proposed fiscal year 23-24 city budget.
Yes, we've got a resolution later on the agenda approving the proposed budget that this hearing is for, but this would be for the FY 2024 budget, which runs from July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. With the resolution, I have a little bit more detailed presentation that I'll go over at that time, but just a few items to note for the public hearing's sake. The proposed property tax levy for the upcoming fiscal year would be $15.64113 per $1,000 of taxable evaluation. That's approximately a 4% decrease from the FY23 levy rate of 16.07. Total city property tax collections proposed for FY24 is $4,251,162. This is $15,909 or 0.4% increase from total property tax collections in FY23. Total revenues are budgeted for $19,508,570. If you back out the transfers in that number, which is money that's already in an account that we're just moving over for accounting's sake, total revenues are $14,446,976. And then for expenses, again this year, finishing using our 2021A bond proceeds as well as lost in ARPA funding for year 3 of our major street rehabilitation effort. Total expenses are $24,021,828. And then again, if you back out the transfers on those, total expenses then is $18,960. $18,960,234. Thought I was going to make it all the way through with not getting the numbers jumbled, so. We have not received any public comments regarding the public hearing notice on the budget.
Okay. It's 5:10, and we'll go ahead and we'll close this public hearing on agenda item number 10. And we will move to agenda item number 16, which is pertains to the street closures. Friday at 5:30 and 6
The
p.m.
registration's at 5:30, the run will start at 6.
6 p.m. Yeah, okay.
What's the length? Is that a 5K like it was before this?
I think it is a 5K,
Is it?
yeah.
Okay.
It's the same as before.
When do you expect the race will finish up? I know it's wide variable.
Last time, I feel like it was under an hour. We did it.
Oh, we got.
Are you guys gonna have volunteers for it as well?
Yes, so it's all teacher volunteers, as of right now, and, a lot of students helping as well.
Are there any street closures required? I mean, I know we're going along McGregor and there.
Yeah, we are running on McGregor, well, just not for just the block.
Yeah.
And I know that we are going to have teachers on those crossing places and police involvement.
Yeah, we would have law enforcement on both sides of that, for sure, that intersection, or that one block, just have to slow people down. And stop.
And then a big portion is the path.
So McGregor wouldn't be closed, it would just be stall traffic until
Yeah,
there's an
also,
opening.
I would say
Okay.
that, yeah.
It'd be controlled movement.
Okay.
Yes. Right. And really, it goes really quick, that little block, they'll all be starting there, and it'll close for just that little bit, and
Sure.
then, like, they move as a group pretty quickly. And then last time, I think we had like a Gator or ATV, or some
There's
sort
an ATV behind the last person.
so they know where we can.
I think on your map, it only has it going east over to, is that Hall Street there? It's, or Finn, yeah.
Finn.
It should be going over to the trail, shouldn't it?
Are you going up Clark Street and around?
The trail doesn't show.
We have it in the trail. West on Bike Path to Clark Street, North Clark to State, State Street to Durant, Durant to McGregor, McGregor to Hale. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Hmm.
East on State Street.
Okay, so it is along Finn.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it's, when it's taking the bike path, it's just taking that one that goes east to west. That
Yeah.
one in front of the nursing home,
Okay.
rather than going back behind.
Oh.
So that's where we're hitting the bike path.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. Hope you raise a lot of money, and I would make a motion, we approve the route and the closures necessary.
Second.
We have a motion from Rodney, second from Don. Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Don,
Yes.
Harley,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Let us know if you want to run.
Okay.
Put it out there.
Is there a registration
There is
fee?
a registration fee, $30.
$30?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, we'll move then to agenda item number 11, and this is a resolution pertaining to the mill and overlay 2023 street improvements.
I'd like to invite Matt Cole back up again. This is awarding the construction contract for the project that we just had the public hearing on a few moments ago.
Yep, as Jacob said, Heartland Asphalt is the low bidder, slightly over our engineer's estimate, about 9.2%. Again, we're betting 1,000 on being right in that 10% range. Over, just kind of industry standard at this point, it's really hard to guess. Did a couple jobs around here, well, Emmitsburg was 13%, so it's just kind of where we're at. But we recommend awarding the contract to Heartland Asphalt out of Mason City. And
I will just note in my agenda memo, when I'd copy and pasted in Excel, screenshot, I had something wrong there in the formula, so the total on that doesn't equal, but of that approximately $1 million project, as bid, approximately $673,000 is for street, stormwater, sidewalk improvements. The library parking lot improvements is approximately $144,000. That's being funded out of the library's capital project fund. And then this year, especially compared to the last couple of years when we've had mill and overlay projects, there's a significant amount of work that AMU is doing this year. So $448,000 of that, $1 million plus cost is in water main and service line replacements that AMU will reimburse the city for.
You said the library, you said south and west, are they doing that north side or just the south?
Nothing's planned to the north side of this project. We're gonna, need to maintain some parking during construction, so we're gonna leave that north parking lot accessible at all times. We're gonna phase kind of the south and west construction to get the sidewalk improvements done on one side, to get access to the main door in the middle of the west side. So there'll be access to the library at all times. And really no concern there other than, have a large event during construction. We'll work with Lori and make sure we can keep adequate parking or get as much parking as possible through there. We're not doing anything in front of the train wreck. So other than getting access to that parking lot, we have that space available for kind of overflow parking, and we can keep the pedestrian traffic safe through the construction.
So yeah, the project scope will be the north half of the area along Phillip Street there, where there's historically was the perpendicular parking. That will be changing to angled parking. With that, there'll be an ADA spot next to the front door, as well as a either 10-minute or pickup drop-off parking that, so people can get in and out real quick. And then on the north parking lot, I think we are designating two of those spots ADA. One of them currently is, and we're just adding the second one there. And then the south is just a mill and overlay of what's there, putting some bollards in front of the new HVAC equipment that's outside. And then with that driveway, reconstructing that and moving the storm intake into the gutter line. So it'll be a lot nicer trying to enter and exit that south parking lot.
Any other questions on the resolution awarding?
Motion to award the contract for the street improvements 2023.
I'll second.
A motion from Rodney, second from Tyler. Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Don,
Yes.
Harley,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Matt. And agenda item number 12 is a resolution approving the general engineering agreement for the 2023 street improvements.
Similar as with the reconstruction project, for professional services, we have a general engineering agreement with Bolton & Mink, and that's broken down by the design and bidding. And then we have a separate task order for the actual construction administration of the project. That's what this resolution approves of that task order with Bolton & Mink. It'll be task order number 3 to the 2023 general engineering agreement. The total estimated cost is $94,000, and similar to the construction cost, that'll be broken down proportionally between the library, AMU, and the city. So we'd recommend approving that resolution, and then I don't know if you have anything to add, or while he's here, if you have any questions on any of the projects from last year we're still working on finishing up, or if you want to give a quick update. I know they've been busy on Phillips.
Yeah, Phillips Street, they got the signs put in. I did notice that Oak Street does have the stop sign put in. Elm is still a yield sign, which I think
That's right.
that is correct. So everything should be good there. So Reading has got the seed prep done, the dirt work, getting ready for green tag. They got bought out. They're going absolute fruit now. But yeah, that's on the agenda. A couple minor punch list items that are still on there that are getting taken care of shortly. And we do have our pre-construction meeting for Finn and Wooster Street reconstruction projects, which includes Brown Street and Smith Street parking area tomorrow morning. So we'll have a little bit better idea of when construction's gonna start on those. I would expect end of the month, early May. And they're good to start on Wooster Street. So depending on utility relocations and precast manhole structures, which we have all those mills approved and they're in the process of being built currently. That's kind of the schedule for that job.
Motion to approve the task order number 3.
Second. A motion from Rodney, second from Don. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Don?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Agenda item number 13, this is a resolution pertaining to the ARPA funds.
Yes, the next 3 items pertain really to the FY 2024 budget. Included in that budget was use of $250,000 in ARPA funding towards the 2023 street improvements, the project that we just awarded. So just kind of for the sake of record keeping, we've been allocating these all by resolution. So this will be the 4th resolution allocating funds. Russell zoomed in a bit. This graphic here shows, let me step back. So ARPA is American Rescue Plan Act dollars. So this is part of the federal government's COVID response plan. Originally, when those funds went out, they had significant strings to them on eligible uses, what they could be spent for. More or less since then, those have been relaxed significantly, and it can be spent on any legitimate government purpose. So in all, the city received approximately $805,000 in ARPA funding. What we have there at the bottom there is how we've allocated those funds to date. So with the proposed $250,000 on tonight's agenda, that would leave us at a balance of approximately $67,000 yet to be allocated. We anticipate at this time that we'll probably use that towards construction projects in '24, or if we end up wanting to allocate more in 2023, just to close those funds out. We do expect some previously allocated funds that haven't yet been used to the law enforcement community liaison, as well as the Algona EMS, will be eligible for reallocation. On Algona EMS, obviously with that transitioning to the upcoming county service. So when you originally did that 200 total allocation, we were under the assumption that we would, or planning that we would still be operating in fiscal year '24. And then on the law enforcement community liaison, we expect that there will be some dollars from the grant that we received for that position that we're going to be able to use in FY 2024 that originally had just been budgeted for '23. And on those 2 items, ARPA funds, if they have to be spent by into calendar year 2024, unless they're allocated for an infrastructure project, and then they have until end of calendar year 2026. So on like the law enforcement community liaison, even if we had decided, well, we want to continue this position, we'd have to, use other funds, because come December 31st, 2024, those funds will either no longer be able to be used, and will have to either be reallocated towards infrastructure project or not used by the city. So it still gives us, some probably, between $75,000 and $100,000 that we'll have to still allocate out.
Move to approve the $250,000 towards street improvements for 2023.
I'll second.
Motion from Don, second from Tyler. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Don?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 14 is a resolution adopting the city budget and certifying the taxes for fiscal year '23-24.
Yes, this is an item we had a public hearing on earlier for the proposed FY 2024 budget. As laid out in the resolution, sets the city property tax rate at 15.64. I do have a hopefully brief presentation, but feel free to ask questions throughout. Just to provide a kind of an overview on the property taxes, our revenues, expenses, and then some of the notable projects in the FY 24 budget. So this slide here compares our property tax levy rates and revenues from FY 23, our current fiscal year, to what's proposed for FY 24. You can see there it's a reduction in the levy rate, and then our total revenues from actual property taxes will increase by only $15,909 or 0.4%. This slide here shows the assessed and taxable valuations for FY 24. So with some of the reform in recent years, just want to point out, so because not necessarily I know just here recently the property valuation or assessed valuations went out. Those aren't for this fiscal year. Those will be not until the tax year of FY 25. For the FY 24 budget, they are based on property values as of January 1, 2021. From our FY 23 to FY 24, which is, since it was an odd year in there, the assessors every 2 years on the odd years, they reassess. So our assessed value of real property increased by $35 million or 8.5%, but our taxable value of real property increased by $8 million or 3.1%. And what we're seeing in the kind of those variation of assessed value and taxable is changes in the multi-residential rollback rate declining now to equal residential, and the business property tax reform from last year, which now the first $150,000 of commercial industrial properties are taxed at the residential rollback rate of this year of approximately 54%, and then the 90% rollback rate for commercial kicks in after that $150,000. So unlike commercial and industrial, we saw a significant increase in those valuations, but actually our taxable value on those decreased because of that reform. This slide here just kind of demonstrates kind of the historic trends that we've seen in assessed value and taxable value. So from fiscal year 2020 to 2024, what's proposed, our assessed value has increased by $62 million or 15%, while our taxable value has increased by $8 million or 3%. We did see this year, growth in that taxable value, which, is important to note because between FY 20 and FY 23, as you can see on the graph and the notes to the side there, over that span, our taxable valuation actually went down. So the growth that we did see in valuation, that 3% this year, is 3% this year, but it's also 3% over the last 5 years. Just to kind of put in context, and again, some of that is just with rollback rates, state changes, and then, assessment valuation changes. This slide here shows our historic trends on property tax revenue. So over the last 5 years, from fiscal year 20 to 24, our property tax revenues are up by approximately $280,000, which averages at about 1.8% per year of growth. And as I mentioned earlier, this year we're looking at, in terms of property tax collections, less than 0.5% growth. The reason we're seeing that growth rate less than what we saw in our taxable value increase is some budget measures that we discussed at length during our work sessions to reduce the property tax levy. We saw, and relative to a lot of other communities, I don't think we saw as large of an increase as many, but generally on the residential side of things, you saw a pretty notable increase in the assessed value. So in an attempt to try to bridge that aggressive increase on the assessed value side. We incorporated the following measures to reduce that property tax levy. So $150,000 from local option sales tax is being used towards debt service to reduce that levy. We have over the last several years built up a balance, or we call it excess balance in our employee benefits fund account. So we're using $100,000 out of that, and our goal is to spend that down. We're currently doing FY23, FY24, and then step it down in 25 and 26 to get to ultimately a fund balance of approximately $300,000. Those are obviously tax dollars that have already been paid. The use of them is restricted, so we think it makes sense to buy down that levy by using some of that balance that is excess. So that's helping reduce the levy rate. And then $65,000 in the state backfill payments for the business property tax reform. We're allocating towards debt service and employee benefits. So that's about $305,000 out of a $4.2 million budget that we took deliberate steps to not collect property taxes on it and find an alternative funding source. Again, none of these are long-term sustainable, at these rates, but to help bridge that gap of what we saw with, aggressive increase in the assessed residential side. So we'd expect in next year's budget, we might still have some of these, but, would be at a reduced amount from where we're at today. This provides an overview by revenue source and type for the city in FY24. So our total revenues, including transfers, is $19,508,570. This slide here shows revenues by source. So the top right hand there, that is all of our revenues. Approximately 26% of those revenues are transfers. So they show up as expenses and revenues. So you back them out on both sides to get more of a realistic picture. So that table at the, or excuse me, that graph in the bottom, that shows our revenue sources excluding transfers and where those come from. And as you can see, our single largest share, 32%, is from property taxes. This shows expenses by function and type. Again, for total expenses and including transfers, we're at $21,828. These graphs here show the expenses by function. So the bottom graph there, that shows all the functions, and so the transfers out and propriety and capital projects, those are unique and don't really give a sense of how our operating dollars are being spent. On the capital projects, those are funds that, mainly are 2021A bond proceeds and then, savings from cash and local option sales tax that we're using to make those investments. Again, the transfers out, that's money that's already there, but it's more or less an accounting function. And then proprietary, that represents primarily the sanitary sewer utility, which operates 100% on user fees, not on, no property tax dollars. So to get an idea on how, our expenses by function, taking those out is that top right table there, which not surprising, our two biggest expenses and majority of our budget is public safety at 31%, and that includes police, animal control, dispatch, and then the law enforcement community liaison, and then public works, 24%. That's primarily with the street department. We do have another year of some large projects going on that are included in the FY24 budget that I'll just provide a quick overview on. One, the airport runway extension phase 1, so this will be the mass earthwork and some of the initial utility work for the runway extension to the southeast. We had, a number of years ago, what can be counted as runway on the north because its proximity to the highway had to be reduced. So this is being funded 90% by the FAA. So we're adding an extension onto the south, and then with that, also reconstructing the turnaround there at the north end of the runway. So this shows total revenues we have of approximately $1,474,000 for the extension. That will be reimbursement from the FAA, and then we have estimated expenses for just the extension, phase 1 of $1.6 million, and then the other improvements will be part of phase 2, which will be the actual constructing of the runway, lighting upgrades, utility upgrades, a lot of underground items. And so what's included in the FY24 budget is the expenses for, or the design for those, that a significant portion of that in FY25 will get reimbursed for eventually. So this project, we'll be opening bids here on April 21st and expect to award a contract at the next construction meeting. 2023 street reconstruction project, so this includes Finn Drive, Wooster Street reconstruction, as well as the parking area on Smith Street next to Maple Park Apartments. The reason the city is incurring that expense is per a 1970s lease agreement with Housing and Urban Development that developed that apartment complex there. We're responsible for maintaining that parking, whereas otherwise it's not something that we would typically pay for, but because of that lease agreement, we are responsible for that. And then we have, just for scale and economy, a Rome Street sanitary sewer extension in that project as well. But as you can see, the bulk of that is the Finn Drive and the Wooster Street reconstruction. The street improvements, mill and overlay. So this was budgeted on, estimates of, before we had obviously our bid opening this evening. So, what will be adopted will be a little bit short in terms of total project cost on the street, sidewalk, and storm sewer side of things. That, as we progress through the budget, we can determine if we use ARPA, local option sales tax, or other cash savings just to make up that difference. But we've got mill and overlay of approximately 6-7 blocks, Durant, 4 blocks of Elm, Woodworth, and then 2 blocks of Wooster, and then the library parking lot. Central Park is our other big project this year. Again, we'll have a bid opening on that April 27th and expect to award that the May 1st City Council meeting. So we have an estimated cost for the redevelopment of that area of $1.3 million. This identifies our funding sources for those and gives an overview of the project. We expect pretty much all the expenses will be incurred in fiscal year 2024, but with our new timeline, the final payment or retainage may, end up going into 2025. But we'll just have to see how the project progresses. And then the final major capital project that we're really just going to be taking our first step towards this fiscal year, or fiscal year 24 in terms of completing, is the wastewater treatment facility upgrade. So in terms of revenues, in addition to what we have for our user fees, we do have $1.2 million in there in anticipated financing from the State Revolving Loan Fund to cover design costs. And then we also have final design and construction administration costs in there, and then $1 million, and this is very much guesstimating at this point, but an initial construction cost. As you can see on the timeline there at the bottom, we expect to finalize design this fall and then bid the project this winter, with breaking ground in the spring of 2024. So how, when they end up starting and when those bills come in and when they're approved, we're still guessing a little bit, but we wanted to at least have something in there for a budgeting item. But as you can see, this is going to be a long project with several phases. We expect it'll go over 3 construction seasons. So it'll really be FY '25 is when that will be a full year of construction, is when we'll see the bulk of those construction expenses. So really in FY '24, we've got the funds to finish up design, go to bid, and then start construction on, at this point, it's, we haven't, with the way prices have been going, it may be higher, but, we were originally looking at around a $15 million project. But starting in fiscal year '24 and then finally wrapping up in fiscal year 2028. So those are just some of the highlights of our budget, but happy to answer any questions on that or any other items in the budget if there's any that we haven't already gotten to in our work sessions.
I think we had a lot of discussion, and thank you for all your hard work, and I think we did a good job at least trying to bring down some of the tax base.
I know it's been a fine line and a balancing act in order to do it, and, so appreciate all your hard work for sure.
On the property tax sides in general, commercial industrial will see a very noticeable reduction in city property taxes. Multi-residential properties will see a reduction in city property taxes. On the residential side of things, if the assessed value of your house went up by less than 4%, you should see no increase or a decrease in your city taxes. But if your assessed value went up by more than 4%, you will, see your city property taxes go up some, and what that amount is really just varies on, how much the assessed value increased. Like I said, I was trying to find that balance of providing the revenue we need to operate and fund these large capital projects, but also trying to, provide as much property tax relief and predictability in terms of budgeting for our residents.
Now, when you say how much it went up, you're referring to 2 years ago when you got the new assessment.
Correct.
Because a lot of people have just received their most recent assessments. I don't know overall what the number is, but I think the people in the house values that I'm used to dealing with, it looked like it was kind of a wash, somewhere higher, somewhere lower. Now, I'm not sure as you get to higher priced houses if it's the same there or not, but anyway, we're dealing with a couple years ago when you were shocked how much it went up. Almost everybody saw that.
Yeah, if the property tax system wasn't confusing enough, as soon as we're adopting the budget, valuations are going out, but it's, it's the one you received 2 years ago for this year's budget is what it's based on. So, thank you for clarifying that point.
All right, I make a motion then to approve the resolution adopting the city budget and certifying taxes for FY '23-24.
Second.
We have a motion from Rodney, second from Don. Any other discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Don?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Rod?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. And again, thanks for all your work with that budget. Agenda item number 15 is a resolution authorizing transfer of funds.
So as we mentioned during the presentation, about $5 million of our budget includes transfer of funds. Some of those, like on construction projects, what it ultimately comes in at, is we'll make the transfers at those point, but there's a number of transfers where the dollar amount is known. So just kind of for the sake of clarity and managing the budget as we progress through the year and not trying, okay, did we already make that one, or do we have to remember to count that in this one? So what this resolution does is effective July 1, 2023, so after the start of the new fiscal year, authorizes and directs the city clerk to make transfers for the transfers we have budgeted where the amount is known and will not be changing. So that's what this resolution does. The other budgeted transfers as we progress through the fiscal year we'll have a resolution there at the end on the final amount and authorizing those transfers. So some of those items that we talked about, known amounts, there are debt service payments that, obviously those have a schedule on City Hall, our sanitary sewer, some of our capital project savings for the street department facility, for police patrol vehicle replacement, items like that.
Move to approve transfers.
Second.
We have a motion from Harley, second from Tyler. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Don,
Yes.
Harley.
Yes.
Rod.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Agenda item number 16 is the street closure that we've already dealt with. Agenda item number 17, this is approving a pay application for the library renovation project.
This pay application from Hingle Construction is in the amount of $48,145.04. It's for materials and work completed in March. The architect has reviewed and recommends approval. Just a quick update on the status of that project. The contractor has a few items with the siding to correct and finish up, and right now they're waiting for a few supplies. I think are approximately 10 days out to make sure that that work was done as is, specified in the architect's drawings. And then they're still working on some of the lighting elements of that, but we'll hopefully see that here wrap up here this later this month or first part of May.
Move to approve pay app.
Second.
We have a motion from Tyler, second from Don to approve this pay application. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Don.
Yes.
Harley.
Yes.
Rod.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Agenda item number 18, we have an application, a request for a tax exemption.
This is a residential exemption request for 414 North Church Street for improvements to the parcel. They're within the urban revitalization area. They've requested the 5 years, 100%, recommend approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Harley, second from Brad. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Don.
Yes.
Harley.
Yes.
Rod.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. We always appreciate new construction in Algona, so. Brings us to final agenda item number 19, and this is the second notification of Don Heipel's term expiring on the Algona Municipal Utilities Board. His term expires the 31st of May, and this is a mayoral appointment, so I will be reporting back next meeting. It is 5:49, and this brings us to the end of our printed agenda, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? We have a motion and a second. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.